So, hello guys, I'm going to discuss on the part 2 continuation of projective test. So, I will be going to discuss the different types of the test. So, there are basically 5 types of projective test: the structural, thematic, expressive, constructive, and association. So what are these types? Let us first discuss the structural. So it is an abstract visual material that the person must define by saying what he sees or suggests. So definitely the best example for this is the Rorschach ink blot or ink blots, wherein the subject or a person will look at a visual material and then tell us what he sees or what it suggests. So the second one is the thematic. It is also a visual material with different degrees of definition, human or para-human content, whose objective is to tell a story, or the TAT, test of thematic perception, or also thematic apperception test. The third one is expressive. The instruction is to draw. It may be a test of the tree, a test of human figure, or house. Another one is constructive. Concrete material is provided with which the subject must construct something. For example, the person is given set of pictures and he will construct it or make a picture out of it, or make a story out of it. The last one is associations. The subject must verbally associate words, phrases, or stories according to certain instructions given by the psychologist or the counselor. So let's start with the first basic type of projective test, or the most commonly used type of projective test. Let's discuss the Rorschach projective test, or commonly known as Rorschach ink stains or ink blots. This is the first projective test and continue to be well known and widespread. So it is one of the most famous or common projective tests that we use nowadays. So it is developed by the Swiss psychiatrist Hermann Rorschach in 1921. It is consisting of 10 different cards that illustrate ambiguous ink stains and ask the participant to say what they see there and what characteristic of the image has led the person to think about it. So the answers may be recorded and written down as detailed as possible. So the responses are then analyzed according to certain criteria. So yung composition ng Rorschach ink blots, 10 bilaterally symmetrical ink blots on separate cards. So it is given through a card. The 5 of them are black and white in color, 2 are black, white, and red in color, and the other 3 are multicolor. So to show the examples or to show the actual ink blots, the next slide is going to present the different types of cards. So this one. So we have black and white, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the other 2 are red and black and white, and the rest are colored. So they are all symmetrical. So how do we score the ink blots or the responses on the ink blots? First, the content. It consists of human figures, animal figures, or blood, etc. So its form is to show how accurately examiner's perception matches the corresponding part of the ink blot. So which part of the ink blot is being utilized? So the entire blot, large or small section, minute detail, and white space. So the determinants of the quality of ink blots are the form, color, shading, and movement. So the interpretation of scores generate hypotheses based on patterns of response, recurrent themes, and interrelationship among scoring categories. So dito sa mga responses nila, ipinapakita or dinedepict yung different ideas. For example, yung whole responses ng test taker, it indicates his or her conceptual thought processes. And then in form, it indicates the reality testing, wherein if he or she describes the human movement, it indicates his or her imagination, while the colors that he suggests or that he gets from the cards represents his emotional reactivity. So this is an example of an interpretation of the ink blot. So looking at this image, the possible sexual image response would be it might be the male sex organ at top center, or in some cases, the female part, ano po, at the center or at the bottom. The good answer here is two human-like forms, females or clowns. It is the most common answer. If you don't see it, it is an indicator that you have trouble relating to people. So other good common answers are butterfly, cave entrance. Ayan. So to give us more example, I also put here the other one. So possible sexual imagery is breasts, primarily the rounded areas at the top image. Yan. So another good or common answers maybe bat, butterfly, or female figure in the center, or a moth. But if you may see a mask, an animal face, a jock, or a lantern, it is indicated that you may be a little paranoid. So another bad answer might be anything insulting about the female figure. It is an indicator of your own body image. So here are some possible answers or possible indicator basing from the response that you have some, say, emotional disturbance or mental disturbances. So another example is the response of Beck, two humans, four-legged animal. So the red details of card 2 are often seen as blood. So, and are the most distinctive features. So if you see blood on the card 2, responses to them can provide indication about how a subject is likely to manage feelings of anger or physical harm. Yeah. So that's just a glimpse of the Rorschach ink blot. Ano po? So we now go to the second type of projective test. So here, looking at the examples presented, this is very different from the Rorschach, wherein in these pictures there are really characters, there are objects, real objects being shown. So what is this type of test? So it is called the TAT, or thematic apperception test. But first, what is apperception? It refers to the process of projecting fantasy, imaginary onto an objective stimuli. So it is how we process or we project our fantasies with a given picture. So it is developed by Henry Murray, a projective test consisting of a series of pictures in which the examinee is requested to create a story about the picture. So meron ng available na picture, and then the respondent will just tell a story about what he sees on that picture. So it is a method of revealing to the trained interpreter some of the dominant drives, emotions, sentiments, or complex conflicts of personality about that person. So to add about thematic apperception test, the general condition are the person is asked to observe a series of images and describe a story in each one of them. The examiner then scores the test based on the needs, motivations, and anxieties of the main character and how the story ends. So basically, that material consists of 20 cards on which pictures are presented. So this technique allows us to know the impulses, emotions, feelings, and conflicts of the person that he would not admit it or recognize these emotions because he or she may not be aware of them. So this one of the purpose of this TAT is to know the impulses, emotions, and hidden conflicts that the person still does not know or are not aware of. So the examiner here will show some pictures one at a time, and the subject will be making up a dramatic story. 50 minutes is given for 10 pictures. So, ano daw dapat ang malaman or makita doon sa story? First, the respondent should tell what has happened, what is happening now at present about the picture, what will happen next, and also the person has to describe the different characters and their different feelings or their different personality with a given picture. So, yeah. So how do we interpret the results or the responses in thematic apperception test? So there are three terms that we should look upon: need, press, and thema. Need talks about the determinants of behavior arising from within the individual. So ito yung nandyan na sa'yo as a person, yung unconscious, yung sabi ko kanina na you're still not aware of those conflicts, emotions na may represent your needs as an individual. And here comes the press. These are the determinants of behavior arising from or within the environment. So with a given stimuli and your needs as an individual, there comes now a thema or mangyayari na yung interaction between that need and press or yung interaction na nung self and to the picture. So the whole response will represent the thema or will represent your needs, your emotions, your hidden conflicts just by telling a story. So this stat was developed by Henry Murray to implicitly assess his system of needs theory. So basically, ang gusto lang talaga malaman dito ni Henry Murray, yung nag-develop ng stat, is to indicate his system of needs theory. So sabi niya, there are three main theories or three main needs of a person. First is achievement, power, and intimacy. But that is not the only purpose of thematic apperception test. They can also be used by taking or looking at the defense mechanism, object relations, and problem-solving skills, which is a good indicator of mental health. So for example, ayan yung mga pictures. I have shown some examples here. So this one. So by looking at the theory of Murray, which is the needs theory, sabi niya meron daw tayong needs the achievement, needs for achievement, needs for power, and needs for intimacy. So, for example, the respondent or the person answering the test, someone high in need for achievement is likely to mention success to be achieved by researchers or researcher women and then reaching their goals in the end. So, kung yung person na nag-answer nito is in need of achievement, he or she may tell that these two researcher women are going to be successful in their research Ano po, they will meet their goal after this research. So if a person is in need of power, a person may say that this is a breakthrough research in which whoever wins or whoever gets successful in the research may win prize, recognition, or fame. And however, if the person is in need of intimacy, he will not even mention about the research or the career. He will probably say that these women have been friends since high school, but now that they are in the same lab in university, etc. So a person that needs for intimacy may tackle on relationship among the two-person in that picture. So there are different ways on how the person can respond on the picture and how we can interpret basing from the theory of Murray. So that's it for TAT or thematic apperception test. Another type of test that I will discuss is the um, we'll deal with the following pictures that you can see now on the screen. So as you can see, these are all drawings or illustrations. So what is this? This is now the expressive techniques, the third projective test that I am going to discuss. Ano po? Expressive techniques. The respondents are presented with a verbal or visual attitudes or situations that can tell their feelings and attitudes of other people to the situation. So in this type also, the subject may express his needs, desires, emotions, and motives through working with, manipulating, and interacting with materials, including other people, in a manner of a uniquely in a manner in expressing his personality. So expressive or also called as graphical projective test. Basically, this is just a drawing test. Ano po? One of the easiest siguro, but easiest test to draw. But of course, depending on the mood of the person. So in all these types of expressive tests, the most important thing is the specific characteristics and features of the drawing. So hindi natin dito titingnan kung gaano kaganda yung drawing, yung quality ng drawing ng respondent, but the characteristics, the features, the details of how he draw the picture. In no case is the quality of them valued. The most commonly used expressive or graphical tests are the following. So now I will show you some or few of the most commonly used projective graphical test or expressive test because there are many. So the first one is projective test of the tree. So the examiner evaluates it by looking at the shape of the trunk, the roots, the soil, the fruits, branches, leaves in the wood, and the attention to detail. So the three tests provide us with information about the person's vision of themselves. So makikita daw natin just by drawing the tree, we can interpret the vision of a person, their resources, and the structure of their personality. Ayan. So that is the projective test of the tree. Another one is the projective test of the human figure. So this graphical test requires drawing a person as its name suggests. So the drawing is then evaluated by the examiner who will look at the size of the different body parts, specific features, level of detail, and overall shape of the figure. Ayan. So is the person thin? Is the person looking healthy? Is the person smiling or sad in that drawing? So yun yung tinitingnan natin. Another type is the projective test of the animal. According to psychoanalysis, the animal represents our unconscious impulses and desires. So, by drawing an animal, it may show our needs, our impulses, and our desires. So the person is asked to draw any animal. So any animal of your choice. And then write down the name, the age, the sex, and the type of that animal. Finally, you can also tell a story about what you have drawn. So for example, you've chosen to draw an angry bear or a pig. So it has it is representing some of your desires or some of your conflicts. Ano po? So bakit nagkakaroon ng test of animal or projective test of animal? It is because when a person is anxious or when they are simply blocked and cannot draw a person. So kapag hindi kayang mag-draw ng person, nung respondent, he or she may be asked to draw an animal na lang instead of a person. Ayan. So now we also have the fourth type of expressive. So first is projective test of tree, projective test of human, projective test of animal. And now we come to projective test of home tree person or HTP test. So there are three objects here, the tree, the person, and the house or home. It is also known as the HTP test. And then the person is asked to draw the three objects globally or together. So from the drawing, the examiner asks questions like, person, who is the person here, how old he is, what does he do, what does he does not want to do, yan, who loves him, who hurt him. So in regards to home, the person may be asked about who lives there, are they happy inside that house, how is it during the day, how is it there during the night, and lastly is the tree. So what kind of tree is it, how old is it, what season, and has someone tried to cut it down, is it strong, or who waters it, who takes care of the tree. So this is looked upon by the interpreter or the person who conducts the test. So it is seen as a whole picture globally and together. So another type is the projective family test. So basically, the person is asked to draw his or her family. It will show basically the relationship or the interaction among them, their roles, and how each member is seen by the person. Ano po, the examiner will take into account the position of each member of the family, anyone who is absent, or are there missing body parts. And so with these tests, aspects such as rivalry, conflict, or jealousy are being evaluated. Another one is the projective test of the kinetic family. So just the difference between the previous one, family test and kinetic family test, is that here, the person is going to draw what are their roles or what are they doing. So each member shall have something to do in that picture. So in this part, I think this is the father who takes care of the dog, the mother playing the piano, the kids, taking care or doing household chores. The sister is studying, and then I think this is the youngest who is playing around. Ayan. Another type is the projective test of the couple. The person is asked to draw any two people on the same sheet. So, couple test. It is being evaluated to show the type of bond that the person needs. So, ano ba yung pangangailangan ng tao sa relationship? So, later he is asked to name them, what is their age, what are their gender, and give a story about these two people. Later on, he or she is asked about the couple, what brought them together, what might break them, and so on. What are their plans as a couple? So dito tinitingnan din yung sa projective test of the couple. The eighth type of expressive test is the projective test, person under rain. So, dyan sa example, so it is raining and the person is looking scared of the thunder and the rain. So some studies suggest that it may be effective in assessing depression levels and stress management of the person. So it is very, this person under rain expressive test may give clues or hints about a person suffering from stress or depression. So I think those are just some of the examples of expressive tests. So again, what I've discussed today is the types of tests, types of projective tests. Mainly, I've given emphasis on the Rorschach ink blot stains developed by Hermann Rorschach. Second is the TAT or thematic apperception test developed by Henry Murray, which includes different pictures. And the third one is the expressive test or projective test that includes drawings. Ano po? Person under the rain, persons or projective test of house, projective test of family, kinetic family, couple, animals, and many more. So that ends my report, and my group mates will continue discussing on projective tests. So thank you very much.